You received a call from an inmate at the Department of Corrections. This call will be recorded and monitored. If you wish to block any future calls of this nature, dial 7 now. To accept this call, press 5 now. To decline this call, hang up.
Well, hello, Judy. Oh, I'm doing just fabulous. Good, good. Yeah, I know. I know your daughter's really concerned about your health and well-being, and some of the news out here is that things aren't going well in there. But I know you're a fighter, and if there's anything that's eliminating your rights, you'll fight it. And if there's any issues that you have, you'll fight those too. Yeah, yeah. And that's a big concern. That's one of the things I want to talk about is the communication. I can't emphasize it enough because it helps in your rehabilitation. It helps calm you down, your health wise, and definitely keep you in touch with what's going on out here. There's a few times I'll mention something, and some of the ladies don't even know what I'm talking about because information just isn't passed on. And then there's those that just don't want to hear what's going on out here. So can't really do too much about that. Well, yeah, that's good because your daughter is talking to the people out here, and she's actively involved, and she wants to know what's going on, and that's good for you because you can still be an influence in her life. You can still teach her things and keep her strong. And the only way to do that is to keep communicating with her. And I'm not sure how people think that this is going to help folks by cutting off the communication. But, the big thing I'm concerned about is they just went over the edge down there in California. You're These are rehabilitation centers. These are places for folks to correct their lifestyles and to get back into society. And by pretty much keeping people in solitary confinement, I'm not sure how that's going to help. And I'm actively watching this whole thing fall, I guess, come to pass or to grow or to shine on other prisons. I don't know. Okay, good. And, a hunger strike, that's something that it can really hurt. It can really hurt somebody. And I'm all for protest as long as they don't turn violent. And we've been seeing a bunch of violent protests out there. And there's people that's downplaying it. So for a prison to say their people are going to go on a hunger strike, it sounds a whole lot better than their prison riot. And I don't want to see that happen. Okay, good. Good. Yeah, and the fact that you guys are working with each other and communicating on a regular basis, that has to be good news, at least for me. And I'm not sure how anybody else will see that as a bad thing, but apparently so.
You
Okay.
have 60 seconds remaining.
Yeah, we phone calls don't last too long, but it was definitely it was definitely nice to talk to you and to hear your views on this whole thing. So I hope things will work out for you and your daughter. And well, yeah, I can do some profiles for you. So if you want to put a profile on the internet and hopefully somebody will contact you, it's very rare
You have 30 seconds remaining.
something like this works. And usually the people that do contact you guys are just out there for craziness. But you never know. I mean, I kind of sort of met my lady that way. So hopefully that helps. Okay. Well, thanks again for the call and keep up the good work. And hopefully you'll get out soon and help.
Thank you for using Inmate Call. Goodbye.
Well, good day to you and welcome to AQS Inmate Call. And I am your host, Joel Wilborn. And this phone call is mainly based on news about the California prisons. Now, they've been having some problems with contraband and a lot of negative reactions and actions to things that's going on down there. And it's just violations of the policy, violations of the law. And California, being as radical as it is, it figures the best way to handle this is to end all communication on the outside world. And it didn't say how long it would last. It's just they put that restriction on there. And in the Constitution, prisoners don't have a lot of rights. They're pretty much considered slaves. And I know at the time that this came out, governors could use them to make products or work on work crews. And it's just something that people didn't really fight because when you look at the news and you see people committing violent crimes or trafficking in human slavery and dealing with drugs, you get that negative press, and of course, nobody's going to fight that law. And it would be nice to change the Constitution so that prisoners would have the same rights as we have, that they wouldn't lose their rights when they go in there, especially if a chance to fight their conviction or gather information or gather witnesses or to educate the public. But I think we're a long way off from that. It's kind of hard to fight something that's just ingrained in us. So we have to work with what we have. And California's a good example of that. So when the inmates are being held back, especially from communicating with their loved ones, they go out and do this hunger strike. And that, in and of itself, is a good, peaceful way of protest. But when you think about it, you think the guards, you think the public cares if these people go on a hunger strike and, let's say, worst case scenario, they die? What we need is just, a voice from inside that tells folks what's going on in there and why they're doing this. I don't support the introduction of contraband or violating laws, like causing disturbances in there, threatening prison officials. This kind of stuff nobody wants to support. And if the California Department of Corrections feels that this is the best way to deal with the type of action that's threatening everybody, they need to let the public know. They need to go out and constantly stay in contact. Why we've had these problems, we've tried these solutions, nothing is working, and so we've come down to do just this. Now, the department published a press release that listed a number of armed assaults on staff members, armed battery on incarcerated people, and several riots in the weeks leading up to the restrictions, but they did not attribute those incidents to specific prisons. And the families of incarcerated people say the restrictions are cruel and collective punishment, and he feels unbearable. No contact with well, at least one person, Angel Torres, said it feels unbearable to have no contact with his father, who is incarcerated at Folsom State Prison. And I wonder if he's safe and sound, said Torres. The department is playing propaganda warfare. They are professionals of abstract, obtuse, and vague statements, and are generated to keep families in the dark. Now, I can say that I personally experienced DOC restrictions, and I reach out to try to find out what's going on, and I'm not hearing anything. So, in the state of Washington, there's a lot of restrictions that just don't make any sense. And now in the state of California, there's restrictions that make no sense. And I can definitely relate to that. And I just want people to know that you may think that the Department of Corrections is doing the right thing, and their website may show that they're uh, trying to work with the public to get things improved, but they're not. And if you don't hear anything that's going on in the prison, that could be a good thing. No news is good news. But when people speak out, like my platform, that's something to look into. We don't want people to go to prison and be abused. And once again, I emphasize that the United States is going through some transition, or we can say a transitional phase. It's trying to protect due process for folks, and we've seen that people are being extradited, they're being sent to prisons overseas, and that's looked at as a bad thing. It's taking away their rights. But do we want that to happen? Do we want people to be extradited to one of the countries in South America? You know, do we want them to be sent out of the states without due process? And with this in the news, we have to look at the folks that are in the United States. What about full-blooded American citizens who went through due process and were convicted, and now due process just gone? They're sitting down there, and their rights are being suppressed because of their activity. What do you do with a prisoner who continues to commit crimes behind bars? And that's what we need to look at. It needs to be equal no matter what. And I'm all for the Department of Corrections coming down hard on people that are just vagrantly defying the laws and the policies set forth upon them, and that they're expected to carry out even though they're locked up. So it's going to be good to keep an eye on this. I hope the public can once in a while just check in. And a good way to do that is to communicate with folks who are locked up. But if that communication is stopped, then prison officials need to be held accountable. And I hope once this is all over, people will get out and communicate and keep their plight in the news. But the most important thing will be the family members. They need to keep their situation in the news at all times. They need to keep talking to folks. So this is something that I hope will be a part of daily conversation. And I hope we can at least make some changes. And if staff is limited and resources are limited, this is the kind of stuff we're going to get. I'm really shocked that drugs are getting into the prisons in the state of Washington. But it doesn't surprise me that they're not picking this up. They'll restrict my conversation with folks in the prison, especially my fiance, and hide behind that thing that they're looking out for the safety and security of the people who are locked up. And when I ask for details, I don't get it. They just go real silent. They'll do things, but they're very slow, or they won't answer the questions at all. And we need to get this under control. The people who work for the state need to communicate and answer questions and keep us in the loop at all times. So we're going to have to continuously fight that. It's a shame, but that's just the way things are with these guys. So hopefully you'll be able to keep an eye on the news, talk with people who know somebody if you don't talk with the inmates directly, and we can let the United States citizens know that the United States is an area where we can expect constitutional rights, no matter where we are. And if we don't get them, we'll fight. Hopefully, a hunger strike isn't the way to keep doing this, but I'm not going to stand against inmates for wanting their rights. And I hopefully your opinions and your protests and your welcoming of differences of opinions will show folks that rights are something we need. Well, thanks for taking the time out of your busy day to listen to this. And I hope that you're able to sit down with friends and family and discuss relevant issues, especially those that involve the safety and security of the loved ones in your community. So go out and have yourself a wonderful day and make fantastic memories for tomorrow.